Siyam Dima. Siyam. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Salawatullah wassalamu ala nabiyyina al-Ameen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. We're going to continue, inshallah, what we began last Sunday concerning something from the Tafsir that the ulama of Islam gave from the awwaleen and the akhirin, rahimahumullah ta'ala, concerning the Tafsir of Surah Al-Ash-Sharh or Surah Al-Nashr. We already did the first three ayahs, Alam nashrah laka sadrak وَوَضَعْنَا عَنْكَ وِزْرَكَ الَّذِي أَنْقَضَ ظَهْرَكَ. We come to the ayat number 4 and the rest of the ayat, inshallah. Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as a ni'mah imtanna Allahu alayhi biha. Is that he said to him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. Didn't we, Ya Muhammad, not expand your breast by physically opening it up 2 times, cleaning it both times, and also preparing you to deal with the people you had to deal with, guiding you to al-Islam, and having sabr with the people who gave you a hard time, and he gave you the inshirah of your sadr. Verily, if Allah does not open a person's chest to deal with the environment and the people that he's dealing with, he can blow his top and do something that is regrettable to him and to other people. So being able to have the inshirah of your heart to deal with your children, to deal with your parents, to deal with your neighbors, to deal with whatever and everything we have to deal with. So ni'mah from Allah Azza wa Jal, because not everybody can do that. And how many times have we heard, have we read where people blew their fuse and they blasted people? They couldn't take it anymore. They went to the school, they went to the post office, they went to their place of employment, and they blew up and dealt with it, people, because their heart couldn't take it anymore. So it's a ni'mah that Allah Azza wa Jalla is mentioning to his Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we also took off of you the effect of your mistakes and your sins, being a Rasul and a Nabi and a Qudwa and an example to the people who follow you, that the Muslim is an individual who he has to be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually affected by the mistakes that he makes. He can't look at the mistake as being small, but he has to look at the one who the mistake is being done against, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and therefore it becomes something that's big for him. We took that off of you as a ni'mah from you. And he mentioned, and we raise for you your dhikr. We raise your remembrance as a ni'mah to you. And including, in addition to that, the ni'am of Surah Al-Duha, that you were yatim, that you were miskeen, that you were in need and you were poor, and Allah did all of these things to you until finally when you died, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you were the ghalib and the conqueror over all of the people who gave you a hard time. He went on to mention in this ayat, وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. And from all of those things that Allah has given you, is He raised you in your remembrance. Scholars of Islam mention a lot about Allah raising the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's remembrance. A lot of things. From them is that the night that he was taken from Mecca and he went to the Al-Isra wa Mi'raj, every time the Prophet came to a sama, from the sama of the samawat, and he made a istidhan. Every time he came to a level of Jannah, the angels knew who he was. Every time they came, they would ask what his situation was. When they were told, they knew who he was. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So from the children of Adam, this is a special thing. Did that happen for anybody here? They said another example of that is that Yawmul Qiyamah, after all of the things that happened to Bani Adam, all of the things that's going to happen to the people who are living and the people who are buried in the earth under the footsteps of those who are living, and the other people who disappeared. Sharks ate them, they disappeared in nitroglycerin. Allah's going to bring everybody back, Yawmul Qiyamah. After everybody is judged with everything that's going to happen, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will make his istidhan to go into the Jannah, and he'll be the first one. And when he tells the angels who are responsible for the door of the Jannah that he is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they're going to know who he is. Allah raised up his dhikr, and he'll be the first to enter. They mention all of these things are from Allah raising his dhikr. The fact that Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned him sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wa sallam in the previous books, as he mentioned in a number of ayat from the Quran. الذين يتبعون الرسول النبي الأمي الذي يجدونه مكتوبا عندهم في التوراة والإنجيل. The one who they find him mentioned in the Torah and in the Injil. He was called Ahmed. They knew that it was coming. And just as Allah Azza wa Jal told all of the prophets and the messengers to inform their people, a Dajjal is coming, all of them informed their people that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was coming. There's nobody here, Allahu Adam, nobody here. Those people knew our names. No one. That's how Allah Azza wa Jalla raised for him his dhikr. Sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wa sallam. They mention وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ, and that the shahada, the word shahada is singular. Shahadatan is plural. So when people hear the shahadatain, we know it is ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, and by default wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. But if a person made a liktifa and just said the shahada is not complete without a person saying, I bear witness there's no God worthy of worship, and that Muhammad is his messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm a revert. We have other reverts who are here, who are listening. You cannot come into this deen without saying that. You can't come into this deen. So he's a key for a person who was not born and raised on Al-Islam to come into the deen. That's how Allah Azza wa Jalla has raised them. There are many things that they mention. From those things is the Adhan. So in our masjid, we make the Adhan according to the Sunnah, inshallah. We don't make the talheen and sing the Adhan and go overboard. We don't make the Adhan from the microphone. We go out to this particular door. If someone wanted to go to that particular door, he can do it. We go out so that the people outside can hear the Adhan. And in the Adhan from this masjid and every masjid from the dunya, every day, 5 times a day in this masjid, the Adhan is being made every day. And in other masajid. And that's how Allah Azza wa Jalla has raised his dhikr. There are small masjids in Bangladesh, small masjids in Jamaica, small masjids in other parts that are remote in the dunya. His name is mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wa sallam. The mayor, the councilman, the president of that country. Their names are not mentioned. They may be mentioned when the news comes on, but Rasulullah's name is mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 5 times every day. Not only the adhan, but the iqamah. And I want to make this point very clear to this community right here. The adhan is from the sha'air of al-Islam. It's what distinguishes the Muslims from other than the Muslims. We are muqassirun. We're not always doing what we should do. But when we make that adhan from this place and people happen to walk by, there was a time when some of these Hispanic kids used to play basketball right here on our property. These people who their businesses are right behind us, they come up, they park. Some of them come out and they hear this adhan. They say, those are the Muslims, that's the adhan. This is a sha'ira from the sha'air of al-Islam. I want to say this unapologetically. In our city of Kissimmee and Orlando, there are certain masajid who we don't necessarily agree with what they're doing. We don't agree with how they understand al-Islam. Certain masajid. I would just say their names, but you all know the names. You all know the names. I'm not in agreement with those masajid, but وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ, those masajid are taking care of this particular aspect of al-Islam. They're taking care of this particular aspect of al-Islam. Those places where they're disbelieving in al-Islam because they fall into a nawaqid, from the nawaqid of al-Islam. His name is Muhammad 3X from the Nation of Islam. They have names like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those masajid of the Muslims where they have issues and they're not practicing or understanding al-Islam correctly. We have to dislike what they're on and what they're representing. But it is what Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah said that comes from our religion. And that there is a circle that you have to imagine. There is a circle, a da'ira. And in that circle, right in the middle of that circle are the Muslims who are doing the religion correctly. May Allah make us of them, make us of those people. But as you get further and further away from the circle, going out, people find themselves far away from the middle. So our wala and our al-bara, our muhabb, our love and our hatred to the people of al-Islam, it is according to how close they are to the circle. As long as they're in the circle of al-Islam, we have to have wala wa bara as it relates to them. We have to have some respect. وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. Those people are doing that in the adhan and the iqamah. We have some people from our ummah who hate the people of al-Islam. And then when they talk and they express themselves, you would think that they are on the side of the Yahud. I am not supportive of Hamas. I am not in support of Hassan Nasrallah, but I am in support of the Lebanese Muslims. And I don't want to see the Lebanese Muslims get blown up and getting killed and so forth and so on. So we have to remember this issue of this ayat of the Quran. We raise the Prophet's dhikr, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are people in Kissimmee and there are people in Orlando who are taking care of this issue. How do we exist walking around hating those people? And what I mean by hating, I mean hating those people and seeing ourselves as being some people who are special. I say that's a sick way of understanding al-Islam. We have to appreciate what Allah Azza wa Jalla has blessed us with, but at the same time, don't go overboard. Don't go overboard. So these people are practicing this aspect of al-Islam. May Allah Azza wa Jalla guide us and guide them and bring us all close to the circle right there in the dot. From those issues of Allah raising Rasulullah, Allah mentioned in the Quran, in Allah وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Verily Allah and His malaika, that's Allah raising Rasulullah, is that Allah sends the salawat on the Nabi and the malaika, and Allah sends His salam and His taslim on the Nabi and the malaika. So, oh, you believe, you also send the salawat and the salams. That's the record of His dhikr. There's a lot of kalam that the scholars gave about what this means. He mentioned to the people, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, al-bakhilu man dhukirtu indahu falam yusallim alayhi. The one who is stingy is the one who he hears my name and he didn't say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If you hear the name of your father, your grandfather, you yourself, myself, my wife, your wife, and no one ever says anything, no dua, there's nothing on the people. But as it relates to our Nabi and our Rasul, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, people have to, or they should, give him salawat. That's how Allah made it religious, not just for us, everybody around the globe. Everyone who came before and everybody's going to come during our time and after our time. The minbar, the Nabi stood on the first step, said Ameen, second step, Ameen, third step, Ameen. Why did you say that, Ya Rasulullah? He mentioned salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Whoever hears my name and he doesn't give me the salawat, may Allah put him down. You may hear a Sheikh Al-Albani's name, you don't say Rahmatullah alayhi. You may hear Abu Bakr's name, you don't say Radiyallahu anhu. That thing doesn't yantabaq alayka. The fact that you didn't say Radiyallahu anhu. It's the Nabi of Islam, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Why did you say Ameen? Allah, when I got on that step, Jibril came and said, anyone who hears your name and he doesn't say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, may his nose be, may he be debased, may he be put down. All of that and many other things is talking about وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَ. A lot. Some of the things that the scholars mention, it's kind of far away. But it still has a ta'alluq and a connection. So I'm not even going to mention those things. But he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he taught us, if you want your dua to be accepted, the dua that you make, there is etiquette, adab that you have to do to make your dua accepted. Things to do, things not to do. One of the things for the dua to be accepted is before you complete your dua is that you say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The tashahhud that we just prayed, Salat al-Maghrib, and we'll continue to pray Sunnah prayers, Wajib prayers, and every prayer, everybody is going to make the Durood al-Sharif. Your father, did Allah tell us to make that for your dad? My dad? He didn't tell us to do that. So these things are going on a daily basis. And that's the meaning that they mentioned concerning the prophets sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam's being raised up. Last thing that I want to mention is the scholars from the latter day, our time. There's no way Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman, and Ali, and the rest of the ulama of the companions, and those scholars of al-Islam from al-Hadith, the ulama of al-Hadith, and Imam Ahmed, Imam Muslim, Bukhari, no way in the world they could have known this. But the scholars of the latter time, our time, they said, and it's permissible for them to say, because it's information that the Salaf, the awwaloon from our ummah, they had no way of knowing this. So it's permissible for us to make istinbat and proofs from the Quran, the Sunnah, that this ayat of the Quran is proving this of science. That hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is proven this of science. Those first people didn't have any way of knowing that. It wasn't there. But we repeat, if the Salaf of this ummah says something about something, it's not permissible for us to come up with a new thing that goes against what they're saying. But from the contemporary scholars, is that they said from the way that Allah Azza wa Jalla has raised his name, is that all of the people in the dunya, when they started making the census, al-ihsa, the census, how many people are married, what's the population, how many people from Palestine who are living here, how many women, the census. They said that the name that is the most named name for the people of the dunya are the people who are connected to this religion, and that is the name of Muhammad. Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. John, Bill, those are famous names. Donald, Eddie, Diana, those are famous names. But no name has any human being been given more than the name of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. So from the favors that Allah Azza wa Jalla has bestowed upon him, being the khatim of the anbiya and the khatim of the rusul, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim ajma'een, is the fact that his name is mentioned and people have been given his name more than any other human being. Back then, 1,400 and such years ago, way back then, how would Abu Lahab and Abu Jahl know that that was going to happen today? It's from the adillah and the barahin and the proofs that he came with the truth, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. We move on to the last two ayats, and Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned after that from his favors that Allah gave the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his ummah, is that he mentioned, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Verily, with every difficulty, there is ease. And then he mentioned it again, verily, with every difficulty, there is ease. So if we look at the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, he had a lot of problems. Being in Mecca, and the time in Mecca that he was dealing with all of that drama from his enemies. And most of it we know. Any Muslim comes into this religion, he knows Mecca was a very tough period. We gave khutbah on this minbar. Did you see any time more difficult than what happened at the Battle of Uhud? Uhud was tough. His uncle Hamza was killed at Uhud. And Hamza was not his father's brother, and it's just kalam sakit. Hamza was his father's brother who accepted Islam, and he was a serious person. And those people killed him. And they killed Mus'ab ibn Umair and other companions. It was a tough time. You see any time worse than that? That the people came all the way from the city that you came from. They left that city and came all the way over here to fight you and to stop your deen. It's tough. So we have some people who are against us. I have people who are against me. But them being against me is not like that. It's not like that. Any time worse than that? He said, yes, there was a time worse than that. When I went to Ta'if and those people did this to me and that and this and that, those kids hit me with those rocks and this and that, and all of that had happened, and the people of Mecca kicked me out. I had no way of coming back into Mecca. That was worse than that. Those are difficult times. He went to Medina, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he came back muntasir. He was over them. He had the ability to deal with them if he wanted to deal with them. And Allah Ta'ala mentioned to him in this ayat 2 times. And in both ayats, linguistically, it is establishing that there's no doubt. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Everybody has to know. whatever difficulty you're dealing with, the ease is going to come down. No Muslim should ever commit suicide or apostate or lose his mind or give up hope, because Allah never sends down the difficulty from the sky, except behind that difficulty, ease is coming. So there's a person who has financial issues and he has a debt. He has a job and he doesn't like his job. He hates the office politics. He doesn't like his job. He hates it. Along with that, there is ease. People have physical ailments. Along with that, there's going to be ease. People have issues with their children. All kinds of issues. With the difficulty, there is ease. This is the sunnah of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah never sends down the difficulty and that's it. So a person kills himself. Never happens. This ayat establishes that. He told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in an authentic hadith, فَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ وَلَا تَعْجَزْ. Seek Allah's help and don't be weak. Don't be weak. Seek Allah's isti'ana. Seek His assistance and don't be weak. He said, فَإِنَّ with sabr, there comes the nasr. Be patient and the help is going to come. Be patient and the help is going to come. And with the difficulty, things are going to open up for you. He said, and Allah Azza wa Jal never gave one usr the ability to conquer two yusr. Concerning the Arabic language, if you were to say in your language, ar-rajulu, with the al-ta'rif, ar-rajul, the man, جاء الرجل وجلس وشرب وشتم وسب الرجل ثم قام وانصرف. The man came, he sat down, he drank, he spoke, he did this, he did that, and then the man got up and he left. If you mention that al-Ta'rif is talking about one man, because you're saying the man came, the man sat down, the man spoke, the man. But when you mention it without the al-Ta'rif and with the nakira, جاء رجل وشرب رجل قام رجل. A man sit up, a man sit down. You don't know. In this ayat, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Verily, with the difficulty, ease is going to come. The scholars of the language, they mention that, and that's the meaning of that ayat, the hadith. One usr will never overpower and conquer two eases. So the ayat linguistically is showing that Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to open up the way for people. The ease is going to be there. We have to remember that. It's not always easy, because it's easy to focus on the difficulty and the mashakil. I don't have money, I have a bad job, I have bad health, I'm in a bad situation. That thing that you don't like, you're practicing your religion, you're holding on to your religion, Allah didn't send that imtihan and that bala down on you, and that's it. The ease is coming. Just gotta be patient, gotta wait for that thing. Abdullah bin Mas'ud said about the ayat, if Allah sent from the sky, from above the seven heavens, some difficulty on you, and that difficulty were to go into a hole, the ease for that difficulty is going to follow it up, and it's going to go into that hole along with the ease. You just have to have yaqeen. Don't give up the hope that Allah Ta'ala is going to be easy. Allah is going to help you in your situation. This is one of the reasons it's not permissible to kill yourself to have, the despair from the rahmah of Allah and all that stuff like that. Lastly, he mentions subhanahu wa ta'ala, but even before that, because I wrote this down, I wanted to mention this. Where is the ease in Palestine? I ask you, brothers, where is the ease in Palestine? They have destroyed that place. And if you were to look at the optics of Palestine from above or on the ground, those criminals, those shayateen of the ins, have destroyed that place, that for almost 100% of the Sukan of Palestine, there's nowhere to live. When we look at it and we see the optics of that, a person can say, where's the ease in that? There's ease, brother. There's ease. Do we know what that ease is? It could be ultimately they're going to go to Jannah. But we have to have yaqeen about, we see that situation and it's really hard to get your head around, where is the ease in that situation? Wallahi billahi tallahi, there is ease in that. I can't tell you what it is. But ultimately, we have to believe based upon this ayah and other ayat. And Allahu A'lam, but I don't think anybody here is dealing with the fitna of Palestine. I don't know. But we have to believe, not in a disconnected way and theoretic. They're going to get ease in its theory. No, there's going to be some ease for those people. Where, how, when, where, Allah knows best. But this is what this ayat is saying. Then he mentioned subhanahu wa ta'ala revealing to the Prophet after all of these ni'am from this surah Duha, from Surah Al-Inshirah, as well as Surah Duha. فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانْصَبْ وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَارْغَبْ. So if you finish, Ya Muhammad, then stand up to Allah and worship Allah. And focus on Allah in your ibadah. You did whatever you're doing, then focus your ibadah to Allah. The scholars of Islam, they said, the mufassirun, the meaning of that is that after the Muslim does one ibadah, whatever it happens to be, life doesn't stop, and then he goes on vacation and he just doesn't do anything else. He makes those salat, and then he makes the dhikr of Allah. He makes the salat, and after praying, he makes the nawafil prayer. He fasts the month of Ramadan, and then he follows that up with the 6 days of Shawwal, and he does what Allah told the Prophet to do, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he commanded him to worship Allah until the yaqeen comes to you. Continuously worship Allah Azza wa Jalla and what is possible and what you're capable of doing until death comes to you. When death comes to you, then you're done. فَاعْبُدُ اللَّهَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. Worship Allah until the death comes to you. Don't be a person who you pray or you do whatever you do, and then there's no more ibadah to do until another munasabah or occasion comes up. But after every ibadah from the ibadat of Islam, there's something that you do before it, and it's something that you do behind after it that is not wajib. It's not necessarily wajib, but it's from what Allah Azza wa Jalla told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to engage himself with and to engage himself in. So this is Surah Al-Inshirah. I want to remind you, brothers, the Nabi told the people sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which one of you people would like to go to this place where they used to keep the camels that the rich people would give for sadaqah? This man had 1,000 camels. He would give 10, 15, 20 of them in sadaqah. And Rasulullah used to keep all of the people's camels in that one place that was well known. Which one of you would like to go to that place to bring back a fat, voluptuous camel? They said, and you do that without making any sin. You're not stealing. You're not breaking the ties of relationship. It is allowed for you to go and get this camel, to go get this expensive car, get this camel, and you don't make any sin. Who wants to do that? They said, all of us want to do that. Why wouldn't we want to do that? He said, well, if one of you went to the masjid and you learned or you read an ayah from the Quran, you learned or you read 2 ayahs of the Quran, you learned or you read 3 ayahs of the Quran, depending upon how many you do, that is better for you than getting that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 camels. So that was the motivation, in addition to the fact that our brother asked, can we do this particular surah, inshallah, in our Sunday class. So that's Surah Al-Inshirah, and Allah is A'la and A'lam. If you brothers have any questions concerning the surah and what we mentioned, feel free to put your thing forward now.